Hi, everyone. Welcome to the energy report for the month of November 2022. I'm so excited for this energy report. I'm literally sitting here all giddy, like, I don't know, like a little child or something, because, oh God, it's good. It's good. even though ultimately in this quarter of the year, the energy is heavier. Like October was heavier, and I still feel like November is going to be heavy. What I can see through it is that this heaviness is working for us if we know how to let it work for us. I mean, it's like that with everything in life. Everything, that's what it means to have free will. Okay. Free will is not a thing that it's like, whoa, I free will choose to get like a peppermint macchiato. I don't know if that's actually a thing. At Starbucks. Peppermint mocha, caramel macchiato, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yes, that is using our agency. That is making a choice, but those aren't the choices that are a true that's not truly wielding the power of free will. We are so powerful here. Free will is such a big fucking deal. It's such a big deal. What it means on like the nitty gritty daily moment to moment granular level of the 3D and 4D experience is allowing life to occur and choosing, will I use this for myself? Like, is this for me? Is this for my growth? Is this for my evolution, my expansion, my ascension, my exaltation? Is it for the glorification, the celebration and the exaltation of the whole totality oneness that we all are together? Or is this thing, good, neutral, or bad, something that I'm going to use to feed the disempowerment stories that I have, to stoke the fires of my, victim narratives, or my sense of oppression, or my sense of injustice, or like whatever, am I going to use this to take me down? Because the thing is that we do have that choice all the time with everything that happens to us, through us, by us, for us. It can all be for us if we choose, and it can all be against us if we choose. And sometimes, we're like on any given topic, we're kind of wavering back and forth, toggling back and forth between it's working against me, it's working for me, it's happening, to me, it's happening for me, whatever. Anyway, so kind of unnecessarily long preamble, just to say that I do still feel heaviness in the collective energy, but we are not weak. We are not incapable. We are very powerful, and we can use this to our advantage, and we're going to. I know it. So the card that I pulled way back when in January, is Divine Wisdom. Okay, and then the card that I pulled for December is the Emperor. And like all of a sudden, I was reviewing it yesterday, and all of a sudden, like I see the end of the year. I see it, and it's so fucking exciting. It's so exciting to me. To me, this is why we came, or at least this is why I came. Like, I didn't come to just have another human life and just human for the rest of my life. That is what I will do because I'm a human. But there's something bigger to this whole incarnation experience to me. And I'm assuming that if you watch my energy reports or listen to any of my shit, you probably resonate on some level with that feeling as well. So November, Divine Wisdom. The message and the guidance that I'm getting around this is that November is going to be a month of great revelation. And will that play out on the collective scale in terms of, disclosure of whatever, whatever, like not just necessarily like alien disclosure, but will it be the, revelation of the secret government dossiers? Will it be alien disclosure, or will it be the dark forces that normally operate in the occult, in the shadow realms? Will they like start really playing their hand in a way that is undeniable now? Possibly. I strongly believe that that is an inevitability, that at some point in the future of our, we could say like our lifetime, of course, who knows when anybody's going to die, but you know what I mean? Like not in 200 years is what I'm saying. Within our lifetime, I understand that the dark shadow forces are going to start operating in plain sight, and in so many ways they obviously already are, and yet somehow through a well-executed long game plan of trauma-based mind control and propaganda programming, the majority of humanity still doesn't see what is happening in plain sight. Like it's being like very thinly veiled. So I do believe that at some point in our lifetimes, those dark forces are going to just like full on, like no more veil. Here we are, jazz hands. This is what we're doing. Will that be November 2022? I don't think the full shebang will be November 2022, but it doesn't even matter, because it's going to be like, I think if anything does happen on the collective level in terms of divine wisdom, it's going to be something like the continued uncovering of, like ancient sites, like ancient geological sites or archaeological artifacts, or things that really, really, really activate so many people to remember truths about our history and our past. But that is already happening. It's been happening for a while. Like apparently the Euphrates River is drying up, and it is revealing, old dungeon cells and a whole bunch of like crazy stuff. Some body of water in Spain earlier this year had dried up and revealed like stone circles. There's already so much of that happening. But I feel like November is the time when individually we are going to receive powerful activations and codes toward our own recollection of who we really are, what the is going on here, and what we're supposed to do, like why we came into another life, why we are here on earth, what game is being played here in the grand scheme of things. So November and December, but particularly November, are going to be ideal months to book that reading that you have wanted to book. If I'm not saying you have to book it with me, it can be with me, it can be with whoever. Like I have this dream of building a roster of readers and healers and people. It's going to take a lot of legwork. It's not something I can snap my fingers and pull out of thin air in November, that's for sure. But my point is that there are so many readers, there are so many people who are here to be like the oracle for you and to deliver codes that you are ready to receive now. So November is a perfect time to book that reading, book that session. Your activation is here for you now. It's here this month for you to be reconnected with your divine wisdom, for you to drop or it's not drop, it's like a dissolving of the amnesia veil, that you can begin to pull in more and more of who you really are, to which I've also got this like strong sense that we're going to have another walk-in period. So way back, I think it must have been in January or February, I recorded an energy report around like walk-ins, because back in January, February, I would call it a walk-in experience. I don't know, kind of like, no offense to anybody, but like, fuck everybody's definition. To me, walk-in feels like the best, most appropriate way of describing like more of the higher dimensional complete consciousness field or body. It's so hard to use English to describe these things. I'll just call it a field. So it's a non-local field of consciousness. You could call it like a master consciousness. For me, more and more, what I'm understanding about myself lately is that I am a seraphim. I've known this pretty much, I don't know for how long, but every time, I remember even like watching, what was it? What's that show? Oh, it was Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg. And, you know, it's like during one of their, you know, songs, their musical numbers that was blowing the roof off the church, there was a line about like, I think it was like sweet seraphim or something like that. I don't know. I didn't even know what that meant. And that word seraphim was like, oh, it carried something the same way Akasha carried something for me. Akashic records was like this, ping, some kind of energetic consciousness activation occurred. And so more and more and more through the process of this whole year, which I think honestly has been, for me at least, has been a process of integrating the aspect of myself that walked in back in January and February. So I've been processing and integrating this, and through the course of this year have been realizing like, oh, I remember being an Anunnaki. I'm sure it's an Anunnaki. I'm sure of it. And it's kind of crazy to say that because we have very bad associations with the Anunnaki. And rightly so, because we flooded the anthills. So I'm like this tiny human, tiny. I'm so tiny. And I remember being an Anunnaki. And I also remember like a step up from that being, it feels like a mantid andromedid hybrid that played at different levels of creation. And a step up from that, I remember being, I believe, a seraphim, an angelic, like not Amy. Amy is a human. This body is a human. This personality complex that is talking to you is a human. The consciousness stream, the soul stream that I am infused with is from this seraphim level. And I mean, this is true for all of us. We have some kind of like through line that is connecting us back to source. Perhaps some of us are literal first time emanations from source with no through line. No, I call it a drip down. It's like Amy's the human. The soul consciousness that I am has dripped down from source into the seraphim, from the seraphim into Andromeda. I don't know where the mantids are. I don't know that yet. Andromeda, Lyra Vega. I know I have a Pleiadian aspect. And then Anunnaki. And then human is what it feels like. And I'm all of these at the same time. And it's just like every time, the farther away that I get from God or source or whatever, the more I forget. But I have this trail line that takes me right back up to source, and it passes through these different sort of layers of consciousness playing out their own roles. And I believe that this month, we are going to individually receive these powerful activations that allow us to remember more of who we are and who we came to be. And it's probably going to come in as another walk-in experience. So it's like I have integrated enough of that which walked in January, February of 2022. And I'm gearing up now to receive a whole other component. It even, at least for me anyway, it echoes what I experienced in January, where I just started to feel very detached from so many aspects of my life and so many aspects of my mission and my business. It feels like I went blank. I had to just like let go of everything and go back to like, I don't know, it's like a blank sheet of paper. I still have memories, but it almost felt like the things I was remembering happened to somebody else, not me. That's not how I feel right now, but I'm starting to feel that detachment process occurring again. It's very interesting to be going through it again. So now this is the schedule that it happened on for me. It doesn't mean that it'll happen that way for all of you, but I do, like when I was tuning into the Akashic field, the collective Akashic field, to interpret this card, now that we're here, divine wisdom, well, the answer that I got was more than a public disclosure. It felt like a bunch of us as individuals basically clearing out enough old human level, how would I put it? Because I also want to be very careful that I don't crap on the human aspect of us as if the human aspect is somehow like inferior, because that could not be further from the truth. The human aspect is so important in this whole grand scheme of things. But it's kind of like in January when I was having that first walk-in, I remember sharing, on one of these recordings that I was having a bunch of fleeting like impressions and memories coming and going. They're just random memories just coming, they would just float in, and it was just impressions. It was not so much around pivotal circumstances, although I think that's probably because I'm a Scorpio and like I deep dive into my pivotal circumstances. I'm here for the transformation, including my own. So it kind of felt like these random impressions, but ultimately it felt almost like a life review, and B, like this new consciousness that came in and started inhabiting this avatar and driving this avatar, which is technically still me. Like this consciousness is me. It's not like some other soul walked in. It's just that it's more of the probably like the Lyran Andromedan or the Seraphim aspect of myself. It felt like that aspect of me was going through the Rolodex of life experiences that human Amy had, so it could get up to speed with it. So it was like a life review, but not a death life review. It was more like oh, okay, this and that and this and that. But it also at the same time allowed me to release any residual kind of stories around that. And so I feel like that is what we are being activated into. It's like this higher aspect of ourself is coming in, and also in tandem at the exact same time, we are clearing out so much. I guess I could call it baggage. I mean, I don't really know how else to put it. It's like very human perspectives, very like me focused, like, like me, this is it. Perspectives. I just a couple weeks ago did 7 chakra clearings for the 7 main chakras as part of the Warrior of Light bundle, which you can still join. PS. It includes magic in the dark and the psychic activation course. And I'm just saying because the chakra clearings were really powerful. But we cleared out these chakras, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work. Like I knew we were going to go through a lot of stuff, but man, when I was in there, like the words that I spoke were probably 10% of the understanding that I had while I was clearing out these chakras. There was so much that couldn't fit into words. There has been so much unwitnessed, unresolved, kind of like karmic stuff. By karmic, I just mean like experiences that happened that we did not finish processing. And so we just stored them in our chakras, in our root, our sacral, our solar plexus, our heart, our throat, our third eye, and our crown. And in clearing those out, that's what I mean. Like we're clearing out the baggage, but it's not getting rid of it. It's not like sending this shit to the dump or something like that. It is just seeing it, just seeing the trauma, seeing the experiences, seeing the things that, you know, we hold against ourselves, the stories that we have created, seeing it and completing the processing process so that it can just be transmuted and released. And by the time we were done, man, those 7 chakras felt like crystal clear, like so clear. And I was not planning this. I didn't even remember at the time that the card for November was divine wisdom. So really, it's just because every year at this time for the last 3 years, I run magic in the dark. And this year I felt really called to do these chakra clearings. Like, okay, I want to target this trauma and clear it out. And now I realize, oh, it makes so much sense that I was called to do that. And I just didn't question it. I just knew I needed to do it. But that's what I mean. Like there's baggage that has to be cleared out. There's heavy stuff that we've been carrying around that sort of gunks up this human vessel and keeps us super hyper focused on the 3D and 4D reality. And it prevents that walk-in experience from like really integrating. And of course, I'm in no way suggesting that you had to be in those chakra clearings or you had to have completed them in order to have a walk-in experience in November. I believe the walk-in experience is going to happen for most of us regardless. It's almost like another way that you could imagine it is like in Westworld, when they have, you know, when they have taken one of the hosts into like out of Westworld and into the lab facility, whatever, to get repaired or whatever. And they have these tablets and a file for each host that is full of settings that determine how much of the host's potential is actualized or activated at a given time. It could almost be like that as well, except that we're not robots, okay? And I'm not suggesting that stupid lab workers, like it's not, I don't want to get stuck on the Westworld narrative. It's more just like a way to understand what I'm talking about. It's like, I feel in November, something is going to happen if we have done enough of our shadow work. We have done enough clearing out and detoxing. Like my friend Colleen has been talking about detoxing stories. And I'm like, 100%, that's exactly it. Detoxing stories, detoxing. And again, the stories aren't bad. It's just that if you have a story, let's say, well, I'll just use myself as an example because it's actually real and therefore probably more relatable. But I used to have stories about, let me see, I don't like using the same old tired examples, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I used to have stories in my romantic and dating life that all the good ones were taken, and that nobody really wants the real me. They want the part of me that they like, and they don't want the rest of it. Nobody, I'm too weird. I can't actually like relate to somebody completely. I can't be my honest, complete self, like whatever. I just have these stories, right? As we all do, because it's a human thing. And I felt limited by those stories. Like I could not actually manifest a person into my life who is the correct match for me until I dealt with those stories. So that's what happened is I worked through all those stories. I released them. I cleansed them out of myself. I looked at them and decided, do I want to continue this story? And even though they all felt very real because I had a lot of experiences that reinforced them, I decided to just operate on faith at that point that they were not real objectively and that I could choose different stories. And so I did. And in choosing different stories, I was able to receive more of the truth, which was that all the good ones are fucking not taken. And, people do love you and want all of you. And, you can be your total, authentic, real self with somebody. And that's what somebody wants. That's what I ended up receiving because that's already true. That was always true. But my stories prevented that from manifesting in my life. And so we're clearing out old stories. We're clearing out old traumas. We're clearing out old, we're physically clearing out our physical vessels. We're clearing out our attachment to like false matrix constructs that we've clung to either for survival purposes or just like tradition and habit, comfort zone shit, or like avoidance and numbing, escapist kind of reasons. We're clearing that away. And simultaneously, we are receiving more and more and more of this higher level, higher dimensional level of consciousness that is dripping down into us. It's like our vessel can actually hold it now. Can hold that level of consciousness. So that's what I feel coming for November. It's a very, very beautiful energy, but it's also going to bring up a lot of shadow shit that we don't have processed yet. And don't judge yourself. If a lot of shadow shit comes up, just know that it's because more of your, how would I put it? The disadvantage of being a human. There's so many advantages. Being a human is dope as shit and we should not crap on it. It's very powerful. We are very powerful, very powerful. We've just been convinced that we are not. But the disadvantage of being a human is that we are very distant from source. We have gotten diffused in that drip down process. We're farther and farther and farther and farther away from source. And then when you combine that with all the manipulation that's happening here and the frequency nets and the lies and all that stuff, it is an experience of forgetting ourselves and forgetting what is actually true and what is capable of being here. But we also can't reclaim the consciousness on earth on behalf of the collective and on behalf of the whole grand scheme of everything without actually coming in and being here and allowing that higher, like clearer, potent, closer to source, closer to truth aspect of our consciousness to drip down and infuse into our vessels. And that's what we're doing. I feel like I just got derailed. Like I took myself on that tangent and there was a reason, but I can't remember why. Oh yeah, because if we get triggered because like shadow shit is coming up, unhealed trauma, whatever, it's just stuff that is incompatible with that next level of that closer to source. It's like a clarity and a truth. I don't know how else to put it. It's very frustrating trying to communicate this in English. I can't wait for the point where I can just transmit thought pictures to you all and you receive them. because the way it looks in my mind is so, it says everything that you can't see inside my mind. And so I have to try and put it into words, but it's like a lens, almost like the clarity that comes through a powerful telescope lens, that clarity, that potency of truth of the information is infusing into us. And so it's also going to dislodge and essentially burn away that which is incompatible with it, that which is untrue. And so we might feel, and I think this has to do with all of that like dark energy that I was sensing, like that I've been talking about for a few weeks, about the dark things are stirring, and I feel the entities getting like pissed and wanting to bring us back down to where they have control over us. The way it's playing out is through the ways that those false stories are entangled and interwoven through our psyches. And the dark aspect of reality, of life, of creation, I don't know, the dark energies, the truly dark energies. What characterizes dark energies is the desire to subjugate and control, as well as a desire to serve self rather than serve the whole. And so those dark energies, as we infuse more of that higher consciousness into ourselves, it's like there's no room for those dark energies to stay within us. So it bubbles up to the surface. And that's where free will is our superpower, because we get to choose, like, whoa, these like nightmares that are coming up, or you know, dysfunctional patterns resurfacing in my relationships, or physical symptoms coming up, or like, you know, addictive qualities wanting to rear their ugly heads and like bring us back into the throes of addiction or impulsive behaviors or whatever. Those things, when they come up and they sort of confront us, are we going to choose to renew our contracts with those things and basically like keep going in those patterns? If we choose that, then that beautiful, potent truth consciousness that is infusing into us, that is walking into us, will have nowhere to go. So it will just go back. It won't come in, because you've essentially said, no, I choose the dark shit. I choose my dysfunction. I choose my disempowerment. I choose to see myself as limited and small and victimized and in pain. And you can also feel small and you can feel in pain. Like, people experience so many traumas here. It's a very traumatic place to be. So I'm not saying to spiritually bypass your experience, but it's like, are you going to ally yourself with those traumas and keep them alive? Hold them close to your heart and use them as a reason for your behaviors or your choices or whatever? Or are you going to be like, fuck, shit, none of that is real. I don't need to hold on to that. I need to feel it. I need to witness it and process it. But also, I'm safe to release it. I can let it go. And I choose this higher level of multidimensional consciousness that is dripping down into me now. I choose to let that fill me up. So it's probably going to feel a little bit extreme and a little bit like, whoa, like sticking your finger in a light socket and your hair going all over the place, you know. It's probably going to be kind of energetically intense this month, but ultimately it's going to be very beautiful, very powerful. And we're gonna wrap the year up on a high note, like truly a high note. I believe that almost all of us are going to choose to receive the divine wisdom that is coming to us this month. Even as we are confronted by our own unhealed trauma and shadow aspects, we are ultimately going to choose the divine wisdom. That's what the card of December suggests. And I'm really, really, really excited to share all of that with you. In addition, I also want to mention that I've been getting these instructions lately that it's really time for us to be doing this. And I don't fully know what that means yet, but I want to share it in case it activates you. I believe that it means that it is time for us to start actually actively building our telepathic networks, our mind-based telepathy, like our third eye telepathy, and our heart-based, I call it heart empathy. It's like empathy, but it's a direct, controlled web of communication through our heart field. As well as, like, if you're getting instructions to go to a certain place, you're getting instructions to connect with a certain person, you're getting, like, you don't have to know why. You just need to listen to it and follow it and do it. It's time now. It is not time for us to continue sort of twiddling our thumbs and waiting for the flash or whatever. We are the flash. Let's fucking do this. The time is now. And I'm so excited to be here doing it with all of you. If, as you hear me say this, you're like, but what, Amy? What am I supposed to do? Then, as I said, November is a perfect time to either like learn to read your own Akashic records, or book an Akashic records reading, or book an oracle reading, or, with whoever you've been drawn to, in order to get this clarity, to get the validation that you need, get clarification around the pieces that you don't understand and see yet, but you feel like you're supposed to understand and see. November is the perfect time. We are headed into another extremely energetic, let's just call it that, energetic year in 2023. And it's like everything that is coming through for November and December is like, we need to prepare for it. It's time. It's time. Let's get our shit in order and let's fucking do this, y'all. Okay. That is my very excited and animated energy report for the month of November 2022. Thank you so much for being here. Share this with anybody that you feel might resonate. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that other people can have it suggested in the algorithm. And be well, my friends. Please share your comments. I actually do read them, even though I don't often comment, just because life with 2 little kids. But I do read them and they mean the world to me. And I love you all so much. And I'll catch you on December 1st.